Good afternoon to you all, my good friends. Now it's 2:30. It's time for Dhamma teaching. We'll be here up to 3:30. So set your mind that you are here and you will be at the present. The real life is at the present time. You remember, here and now. You cry, you smile, or what do you feel at this time? So you observe your feeling at the present. Why you have to do your mindfulness with breathing? You do your mindfulness with breathing because you want to be at the present time. The real life only at the present. Even the present, you cannot hold it because the present is flowing, the present is moving. Nothing permanent. It's moving all the time. Can you see that? Can you see it now? You see that. So enjoy the present in front of you. This is your first and the last, same thing. So today, I'm going to talk to you about the most important thing of the world that Lord Buddha declared more than 2,000 years. And he said, if he don't know this truth, he will not declare that he got enlightened. He got enlightened because he knows this truth. So this truth we call Four Noble Truths. Four. 1, 2, 3, 4. Four Noble Truths. What is that? One is the truth of suffering. 2, the truth, the cause of suffering. 3, the truth, the end of suffering. And the last one, the truth that the path to get away from suffering. Can you remember? 1. Suffering. 2. Correct? Cause of suffering. 3. End of suffering. 4. The way how to get out of suffering. See that? Some people say, why? We are talking about suffering. We don't talk about happiness. Because men like happiness. They don't want suffering. See that? Do you want suffering or do you want happiness? You see that? All people like to have happiness, but they don't know what is the happiness.
How come the end of suffering is before the path to get away from suffering?
You wait and see. Okay. Wait and see. Okay. So, look at the first noble truth. Suffering. We're talking about suffering many times. What is suffering? Again, I will review. What is suffering? Pain, unsatisfied. Born, when you were born, the suffering. Aging is suffering. Dying or the death is suffering. What else? Suffering. I'll show you here. Please turn the light. Sorrow, about sorrow, is suffering. Lamentation, do you know lamentation? Is suffering. What else? Sadness Suffering, sadness, distress. Being attached to the unloved. Being attached to the unloved. Being separated from the love. The suffering also. What? Not getting what he wants. Not getting what he wants. You want but you cannot get it. And Lord Buddha concludes with the 5 aggregates. 5 aggregates. You know aggregates? Aggregates. What is 5 aggregates? Maybe you're not familiar with this. See that? 5 aggregates. Aggregates, that means a group. A group. We divided the function in our body in 5 groups. 5 groups. You know, when we see groups, that's not only one, that they work together in a group. The first group that we call form. You know form? Form. This means your body is form. Form or body. Or you can call what? Corporeality. Corp. You know corp. Corp doesn't mean body. Corporeality. You know corp. Corporeality. And the second aggregate is feeling. Or sensation. Feeling or sensation. The third is perception. Maybe it's not familiar with you now, for someone. And the fourth, mental perception. Or mental formation. Mental formation or mental perception. And the last one, consciousness. That's 5 aggregates. These 5 groups of our body will function by nature. If they function by nature, no problem, no suffering. But when you have ignorance, you will attach to the form, attach to the feeling. That's the suffering comes. So suffering comes from ignorance. So 5 aggregates will function by nature. But if we don't have right wisdom, when that function works, and then we attach or we cling as ego. Whose form? My form, my body, you see that, mine, or I. Whose feeling? My feeling. Feeling bad, feeling good, you see that. That comes from the attachment. If no attachment, no problem, no suffering. So this here, we explain about suffering come from the attachment. But now, I don't want to explain about this too much. Lord Buddha said about the first noble truth. You have to know what is suffering. When you want to know suffering, you have to answer 3 questions. Each noble, you have to answer 3 questions. Number 1, what is suffering? In brief, not very long describe or not very long explanation. What is suffering? Number 2, how to do with it? How to do when you have suffering, and how to do with the suffering. You see, so that you will have the benefit from this question. You know that? No, you have to know what is suffering. Oh, a friend, my good friend from. Are you sleepy? What is suffering? 2. How to do? What are you going to do with it? Number 3. Have you done it? Have you done it? That means you have to practice. After that, and you can tell yourself, oh, I have done it. 3 questions. Okay. What is suffering now? I explained so many things: sadness, sorrow, pain, unsatisfaction, what else, etc. That's all suffering, you know. So that I mentioned yesterday about 3 kinds of suffering. Do you remember? Common suffering, nervous system suffering, and attachment suffering. So we talking about suffering a lot. Do you remember? See that. Now, in brief, what is suffering? So suffering here is come from unstable mind. Unstable mind. That's your mind shaking. Each side, positive or negative. If your mind is stable, no problem, no suffering. So, all suffering, even sadness, sorrow, pain, suffering will occur when your mind shaking. If your mind is stable or steady, no suffering. See that? This concludes only briefly. Can you get that? So if you can control your mind stable, there's no suffering. Okay? Okay. When you have suffering when your mind shaking. Your mind shaking, like, tremble. When you see some beautiful girl, your mind tremble, not smooth, not steady. You're shaking. That you have suffering. See that? And the second question, what are you going to do when you have suffering? What? How to do with it? When your mind shaking, how to do? The answer, you have to know. You have to know that you are in trouble now. You have to know. That's awareness. That means you have to have awareness. You have to look at your suffering when your mind not stable. But in normal situation, when you have suffering, none of you never come back to observe your mind at all. Normally, you will look the problem or the suffering outside, not at your mind. See that? And here, when you have suffering, you have to look back to your mind. That's how to do. 1, suffering, that's your mind shaking, not stable. Number 2, you have to observe your mind, that you know that you are in suffering. You are in suffer at that time. When you observe your mind. Your mind will stop checking. Why? When you observe, your mind will stop. Why your mind stop? Because your mind can do its function at the time, only one function. You can think only one thing. When you put your mind back to observe, and then they will stop about the checking. See that? So, from now, you know the theory. You have to use this theory. When you have suffering, you just close your eyes and look back to your mind. When you look back, your mind will calm down and stop. Lord Buddha compared like someone shoot you with the arrow. You know the arrow? Shoot you with the arrow. Your duty, you have to take the arrow out and put the medicine to stop your suffering. No need to ask who shoot you. Where are they from? You see? So your duty first, when you have suffering, you have to stop your suffering by observing. You see that? And after that, you will go to see who is shooting you. Where are they from? You see that? So the second noble truth will talk about the cause of suffering. See that? So the first noble truth, when you have suffering, you have to stop it first. Did you get that? Stop first. Stop by observing your mind. And the last question, you have to answer yourself, I have done it. That means you have been through that experience already. Can you get that? 1. Suffering. When you have suffering when your mind is shaking, not stable. Number 2, how to do? You have to observe. Have awareness. You know that you are suffering. You have to know. When you get angry, you have to know that you are in angry now. See that? You have to know. Do you know so many people when they get angry, they don't know that they are in anger. Right? Someone says, you are in anger, you get angry now. No, I don't get angry. But his face, change their mood already. That means you don't have mindfulness at the time. You don't know yourself. Is this true or not? You go back and look at your experience. You know that. If you know that you are in anger, you got angry at that time, you will take the mirror. You know the mirror? When you get angry, you take the mirror and look at your face. Huh? Did you do that before? Next time you do it. Next time you do it. You see, when you see the other people in anger or they got angry, you see, their face, their actions, their talking, not very beautiful. Right? You observe the others, don't observe yourself. Observe the others, you will see. But when you are in anger, you got angry, and you don't know. So you never know that you are not very beautiful, you are very ugly at that time. You see that? So from now, from this theory, when you get angry, and then you step with your mindfulness, you know yourself, and then you take the mirror to look at your face. Okay? You check yourself and you will see. Yes?
Just advice, if you tend to show the other person in the mirror, this makes them more angry. If you put the mirror in someone else's face who's angry, it can make them more angry.
If that person mindfulness come, he or she can stop. But if that mindfulness don't come, will make that person more angry. You see that? That's like you put the fuel in the fire. You see that? So observe yourself, that's the best. Okay? Next time, you just take the mirror with you. When you have that bad feeling, you just observe your face. And you observe. Even you're talking, your words not very beautiful at all. Even you yourself, you don't want to listen to that kind of words. You know that? Why do people say, you do to the other people as you want the other people do to you? Can you get me? You do to the other people like if you are here, sitting and here, and I am sitting down there. What if you are here? What do you want? The people who is sitting and listening to you, are they listening to you with like this? Or this? What do you want? Can you get me what I mean? So you do to the others like you want the other do to you. You know what I mean? Right? Yes?
I see what you mean, but who has one? Who has need?
One?
I see what you mean, but who has one?
Who has?
Who has one?
One.
Yes.
What's that mean?
Who has want and need? In the first place.
Yes. Who?
I do see what you mean, but who has want in the first place?
Start from ourselves. Okay?
Right.
Because we cannot do with the other people at all. So, okay? So when you get angry, when you have suffering, you observe yourself, and then that your suffering will stop. Stop. It doesn't mean that your suffering will go away from your life. It stopped for that time. And some people ask me, how come? Because you don't go away from suffering. We have the path to get away from suffering at the fourth noble truth. And now come the end of suffering come before. See that? So, all things are impermanent. Remember? When you have problems, you have suffer, you got suffering. Even you don't do anything, the suffering will calm down and end by nature. Nothing permanent. Can you see that? But if you let it calm down by nature, just calm down without solving from your wisdom. When it's calmed down one time, that means you build your ignorance habit. Can you get me? Because suffering comes from ignorance. When you have suffering and then you let it end by nature, you never use your wisdom to stop your suffering. That means you build your ignorant habits. And then you will have suffering again and again and again. And you will have the skillful to get suffering. Can you get that? That means you very easy to get suffer. See that? Like you get angry at the beginning, not immediately when something to disturb you, but after get angry, and then that anger will end by nature. That you build your angry or anger habits in your mind. And next time when that thing come to disturb you again, you will get angry faster. Can you see that? Angry faster than before. So, the suffering, if you don't do anything, will end, but will come fast and fast. And then you will get angry without reason. Even the wind blows, you get angry with the wind. You see that? Because your mind have problems. So that you storage, you build your ignorant habits each time that you have suffering, and it ends. All of you have been through that experience. No one can go away from suffering. You have suffering and will end with ignorance. From now, when you have suffering, you have to solve that suffering with your right wisdom. And then you use your mindfulness to stop. And you will see, this is my last time of anger. No more from now. Anger, you will not hurt me anymore for life. See that. Isn't good if you can do that? You see that? Why we try to practice? Why we have to train our mind? Because we want to clear all anger, because anger or angry, that's one of defilement. You know defilement? What is defilement? Who can explain defilement? Defilement, that the things will disturb your mind. Disturb your mind. Your mind is not comfortable at all when you have that defilement. So angry, one of defilement. Lust, L-U-S-T, lust, or greed, you see, three major defilement that disturb your mind. You know that? Do you have greed or not? Greed, G-R-E-E-D, or greedy. You know greed? See that? Greed, that you want to have, you never enough. See that? And who don't have greed? If you don't have greed, you don't have anger at all. Because these three kinds of defilement work together. Delusion, that's one of defilement. Delusion, that means you don't know what is what. That's delusion. Like it's really similar ignorance. Do you know delusion? Delusion, greed, and anger. That the major defilement disturb your mind. Okay? And when you know this Four Noble Truths from now, no more, you will laugh at all defilements. All defilements will not. They cannot laugh at you at all. You know, laugh at. Huh? Laugh at. That means you just laugh to that thing. You laugh at the world. The world may not laugh at you. Okay? So, it's clear now. So, suffering comes from checking mind. The mind not stable. When the mind gets in touch with environment by six senses, contact with six senses, that I mentioned about six senses of the world and six senses object. Do you remember? When you have contact, when contact with ignorance, and your mind will check in, positive or negative. That's the feeling will go. And then after that, when going more from feeling to craving, 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 you know craving? And from craving and then attachment. You see? Craving of what? If positive, you want to have. And when you have, not enough, you want to have more. If negative, you want to go away. You want to get rid of it. Like the youth. Do you know the youth? Y-O-U-T-H. The youth. They have what? What do you call? Huh? No. Huh? Pimple? The pimple? Pimple. Or nipple? Huh?
Acne, sorry.
That's the first. What? Nipple or pimple? Or pimple, okay, not nipple. Huh? Okay, nipple, that's a different thing. A pimple. The pimple, the first pimple, when they look at the mirror, wow. The youth, they don't like the pimple, you see that. Because they want what? To have very clean face. And now, some youth die because of the white face. The white face, they use some kind of medicine. They take medicine to have the white face, you know. They want to have white face. Did you hear about that? Especially that's herbs from China. Did you hear about that? She smiled. Maybe she used to use that. I don't know. Did you hear about it? No. And then, when you look at the mirror, that he or she want to get it away. They don't want to have, but that pimple still there, and will come more and more because of the youth hormone will circulate in their body. You see that? That's the period or the way or the time of the youth that they should have the pimple. You see that? Hear that? But they don't want to have. They want to have clean face. That they have suffering. See that? Because they don't want to have. But it has. This is the example. And you solve the problem in the wrong way, some people die. Like you don't want to be fat for the youth. And they try to take some herbs or some medicine until, you know, some medical doctor at the Chiang Mai University, the police put him in jail because he operate, and then they take the fat out, and that lady died at Chiang Mai University. See that? That's from where? From ignorance, from desire, from greed. You want to have. That's from contact with what? Contact with ignorance, and then craving, C-R-A-V-I-N-G, craving, from craving to attachment, from attachment and then becoming, and then born. What born? Ego born. You, I, and then you, and then from that place you will go to aging and dying. about aging and dying. That means you are suffering because of you worry about aging, and you worry about dying because of eye. If without eye, that thing, no problem. That's only natural phenomena. When you put eye in there, the suffering will come. Okay. Now it's clear enough for suffering. The noble truth for suffering. Do you know what is suffering now? Do you know how to do with it? And you have done it? Done when? Now and here. How do you feel? Are you feeling sleepy? Are you feeling tired? You observe that you have suffering now. You do it now. Right? Because the real life is here and now. When you observe, that thing will go. Okay. That's the end of suffering. And Lord Buddha said, to know suffering, that means you have to know all noble truths. You have to know what is suffering, what is the cause of suffering, what is the end of suffering, what is the way how to get out of suffering. That's the knowledge that you should have it. That's the first noble truth. That means you have to know all noble truths. And he said, after he got enlightened, in the forest, he just picked up leaves in his palm, and he showed to his disciple, and he said, look at the leaf in my palm. You know my palm here? How is different the leaf in my palm and the leaf in the forest? Is it the leaf in my palm? It's so very small amount, and the leaf in the forest is abundant. Isn't right? And he said, my knowledge that from my got enlightened, like the leaf of the tree in the forest, but I will bring to teach you only the leaf in my palm only. Why? Because the knowledge that's like the ocean. You see that I can talk about the knowledge all the time, but that's not necessary. But the knowledge that he teaches only in his palm, that's the most important for life. That's to get away from suffering. See that? Only in his palm, not very much knowledge, but enough to get rid of suffering. See that? So, for Noble Truth, that's what? The leaf in his palm only. So you have to know what is suffering, what is the cause of suffering, what is how the end of the suffering and the way to get out of suffering. That means you know suffering. That means you know suffering. That means you know all. Okay? Clear enough? So, you answer 3 questions already. What is suffering? How to do with it? Have you done it? Okay. Clear? Clear enough? Second noble truth. What is second noble truth? Cause of suffering. So, you answer first question. What is cause of suffering? Cause. C-A-U-S-E. Cause. Cause of suffering. Ignorance. Okay, right. Ego, right. But attachment, right. All right. But here, Lord Buddha explained about the cause of suffering here. He said, cause of suffering because of desire. desire or lust, L-U-S-T, desire, D-E-S-I-R-E. That's the cause of suffering. If you have more desire, you have more suffering. If you have less desire, you have less suffering. If you don't have any desire, no more suffering. See that? So, desire, that's the cause of suffering. And, yes?
I'm not too sure about that. I think desire is not necessarily bad. It's just the willpower and the strength of the mind.
Say it again, please.
I think desire...
You speak slowly and clearly because I try to listen to you.
I'm not sure if desire is the cause. And my understanding is the willpower and the lack of strength of mind.
You wait a minute, because this I explain to you from the wisdom of Lord Buddha, not from me. Okay. You wait until the end, and then you can discuss after that. Can you wait? Okay. This is not my knowledge, it's knowledge from Lord Buddha. And he said, and this about more than 2,000 years that people try to keep his knowledge and teaching from generation to generation. You see that? That I think that's very important knowledge. Desire, that's the cause of suffering. And if we look back, where is desire come from? Desire comes from ignorance. Ignorance creates desire. Without ignorance, desire will not come. You see, so ignorance, that's the cause of all suffering, the cause of all problems. You see that? Ignorance, only one word. But ignorance, I don't know much about in English when we translate from Pali. Because in Pali we call avijja. Avijja, that means you don't know the thing that you should know. Avijja, you know that. But when we translate to ignorance in English, so that's the meaning maybe can change.
The meaning is like ignorance.
Yeah.
True self.
Yeah. Because when you say about ignore, that means you stop only. You ignore that person, that means you stop. You see that the language can play in many ways and very hard to understand. You have problem?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay, so I have an addiction with sweet.
With?
Sugar.
Sugar. Okay.
Yeah. So, ignorance would be going and eating a cake, not knowing that it's not healthy.
No, different types of ignorance.
Yeah, well, so my desire is I want that cake, but
You want the cake?
yeah,
Okay.
I want that cake. I'm not ignorant because I know it's not good for me. So other people, they might be ignorant and think like, oh, I'm just eating my cake, and they don't know that it's not good for me. But I understand and I know exactly it's not good for me, but I still want that cake. I still have a desire to have that cake. So for me, it's my willpower that my mind is not strong enough to say no to that cake. That causes me suffering. Not the desire itself, or like I could have a little bit of cake and then that might not be suffering for me, but because I am not strong enough to say when to stop eating the cake, I want it all, so I'm going to eat the whole cake. And that's going to cause me suffering.
Now you have ignorance with ignorance. Can you get that? You have ignorance, but you don't know that you have ignorance. Can you get me? That's the big problem. There's so many people. So did you hear about Socrates? Socrates is a very great philosopher of Greece. he is the teacher of Plato, Socrates, he surprised why the people really pay respect to him, as he is like very, very great knowledge that he has. And then he tried to look at himself. What I have more than the other people, you know. And then he found out only one thing that he has more than the other people. Only one thing. What is that? What is that? You know? He knows that he doesn't know. Can you get me? So that you have double problem.
So you mean that you're ignorant if you're ignoring the things you want to do? I mean, you mean that you're ignorant if you don't do what's good for you, even though you know it?
What's it good for? Why you don't know, you forget about you good for you. Good for what? For your ego. Your ego. And your ego will try to create the reason. Create the reason, try to protect yourself. You know why we say human is rationalized animal? You know rationalized? It's a rational animal. Human is rational. Rational, huh? Human is rational animal. Rational, that means you can give reason on things. And when you look back to psychology, they have what? Self-defensive mechanism. You know self-defensive mechanism? Like rationalization is one of self-defensive mechanism. When you want to do this and you know that's not very good thing, but you do it and then you can give the reason why you do this, and then no problem, you can do it because you have the problem, you have the reason to explain. Yes.
But then it's not the ignorance that is the problem, it's the ego. So it goes back to the ego, not to the ignorance.
The ego from where?
From yourself.
Oh, we were talking about the ego come from ignorance. So ignorance, step on ignorance, double ignorance, you see that? Can you get me? That's very good, you know. So you go back to Socrates, that he found out that he knows more than the other people, that he doesn't know. Can you get that? Okay. Wait, because I am going to explain about the second noble truth, and then you can ask more questions. So, the cause of suffering is desire. Desire. How many kinds of desire? How many? How many types? They divided desire in 3 types. You see? You know, when you study and you can set desire 3 types. Number 1, desire of material. Material. You want to have material. That means in 5 senses, that's material. Yeah. Things or materials. And number 2, you want to have, but you don't want, but you don't have. Like you want to have the position, but you don't have that position. You see, that's the example. You want to have, but you cannot have. You want to have, but you cannot have.
Coveting.
Pardon?
Coveting.
Like position or something that you want to have, but you cannot have. Like when the youth, they want to have what? The white face, but they don't have white face. Something like that. They want to have, but they don't have. That's the desire. One, desire of materials. Two, from your want that you want to have, but you don't have. You ask me afterwards. Huh? And the third one, you don't want to have, but you have. You see that? You don't want to have, but you have it. Like you don't want to get sick, but you got sick. You see that? That is desire.
But isn't it the same?
Pardon?
Isn't it the same?
No, not the same. Not the same.
I mean, with the pimples, and they have the white face. They don't want to have pimples, but they haven't.
It seems that like it's similar, but not the same. But something that you cannot control it, like the age. You don't want to have old age, but you cannot stop that. You have to get old. You don't want to get old, but you have to get old. See that? You cannot escape from that.
And hopefully more wisdom knowledge when you get older.
Yeah. So come back in three desires. And desires come from ignorance. So the second question, what are you going to do with desire? How to do when you have desire? Pardon?
I just understand that in this name of the first one, material.
Okay, now. What are you going to do with desire? Pardon? Okay. Huh? What are you going to do with it? How to do when you have desire?
Take the mirror.
Huh?
Take the mirror.
Take the mirror? Lord Buddha said, when you have desire, you have to withdraw. Withdraw. You know, you don't feed your desire. You know, you don't feed. When you have desire, you feed your desire. Like you want to satisfy something and you take that thing to satisfy your need. Never end. Never end. You have to withdraw. Withdraw from all desires. You withdraw from it. So, you have to run your life without desire. But you have to run your life with your right wisdom. Right wisdom. You see? Right wisdom, that means you run your life without ego. Without ego. You have to know what is right and what is wrong. And you will do the right. You will not do the wrong thing. The right and the wrong, not from you. From where? From nature. The Buddhadasa said, if you want to know what is right, what is wrong, you have to go back to ask your Lord Buddha. Lord Buddha can tell you what is right, what is wrong. So, I will ask you, where is Lord Buddha that you can ask? Where is He? In you. When?
No.
When your mind without bias, no bias. You know, if your mind still have bias, that Lord Buddha will not be there. When you do your research, if you have bias, your research result useless. Did you get that? So, your mind without bias, that's the Lord real Buddha in you. Did you get that? So, you ask yourself, when you don't have the bias, your mind is free from the bias, and then you can say, this right, this wrong. and you stop the wrong, do the right. You don't keep more reasonable or rationalize that, oh, I know that's not good, but I will take it. You see that? That's the ego. Okay? And then the last question, what is it? Have you done it? Have you done it? Did you withdraw the desire? If you withdraw desire, no more suffering. That means the cause of suffering. When you withdraw desire, no suffering. You know, in brief, when we say about ignorance creates desire, desire creates attachment, attachment creates suffering. Four stations. Ignorance, desire, attachment, and suffering. This in short. But in full, I will explain to you later. There's 12, a dozen, and there's 12 steps. You see, that thing happened 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until 12. The suffering comes. But in real life, suffering comes very fast. But this very slow motion to see how the suffering comes. See that? Time is over now. So we can talk about suffering and cause of suffering. I will tell you more tomorrow about end of suffering and the way how to get out of suffering. And then end of suffering, what is end of suffering? What we are going to do when we end of suffering. See that. And then we'll talk about that tomorrow. Thank you. You are a very good person. You have a very strong endurance. Today is very, very, very warm. It's very, very humid, you know. It's burned my brain. Really. You know that if I live at my place, Sonmo, it's, you know, full of trees and very cool. Cool all year. We never use aircon. No aircon, no electricity, no refrigerator, no fan, but very good. You know, live in the forest. Really cool. And cool from the trees is better from aircon. Because aircon, you have to live in the room. And then the air circulates in your room. And so many people, they have problem from air phobia. Do you hear about that? Air phobia. That means you get the disease from the aircon. That if air in nature is fresh because it circulates by nature. And in my area, no industry, no factories. See that? Factories can make money only few people. And they create a lot of pollution. I very impressed Israeli people. I asked them, why you are very clever people of the world, because so many scientists from Israel, from Jews, like Albert Einstein, you see that? He's Jew. And the man who came here, he's Jew-American. Did you hear about him? Emmanuel Sherman, that he passed away the cave under this mountain. You should have time after the 19th and you can go down to see. Emmanuel Sherman, that Jew-American, he's the great man. He have made the monkhood in Japan and he walked from Japan down to Vietnam, Vietnam down to this place. And he passed away here. And he left his Dhamma heritage a lot. That you can go and see at Suan Mok at my place. He print the picture, the portrait to explain the Dhamma. And I still remember one picture, he said, "Oh, free is now. Oh, boundless joy the world. No real happiness in this world." That means he reached the final goal. If you still see happiness is happiness, that you cannot go away from suffering. If you see there's no real happiness in the world, that you are free from all, you will not understand now. You study more and more, you will understand it. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Prepare your Anjali.
Anjali.